Alright, you're going to be starting your basketball game today, which means you're going to need a few items for your station in order to do this. Now, your instructor will let you know where they're at. In my room currently, they're located over here. And what you're going to need is you're going to need a template that belongs to your station. You're going to need your ruler that belongs to your station. And right down here, you're going to need the square that belongs to your station. So, when you're told to get to work, one person's going to come get those for each station while the other partner waits. Now, at your station, you're going to have a block of material that your instructor provided. And so my station is station number 14. So I got the patterns for station number 14. I got the ruler for number 14. And I got the square for number 14. Now you're going to need a pen or pencil. One per group is fine, as long as you can share. You're also going to want to get a marker from up front or wherever your instructor has them in your class. Now, what we're going to be working on doing is we're going to be working on laying it out so that we can cut out our base and our backboard, and you'll see what this picture and everything is all about later on. But you're going to have your base cut out, your backboard cut out. Now, the way this works is you're going to use these templates. Now the template should be the same width. If it's a little wider, it's okay. But I'm going to push it so it's flush, right even with this edge. So I have it straight even with this edge. All I'm going to simply do is draw the curve on, and you'll do this flat on your desktop. You'll lay it down like this, right? I'm going to draw that curve on the end. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to draw the straight line and the curve on the other end. And I want to make this nice and dark so I can see what I'm doing. So I make it nice and dark, and I have my curve on the end, and I got my curve on the front. I'm now going to do the same thing with my backboard. I'm going to put my backboard flush, even with this edge. It's not even with this line, it's even with this edge. Now there should be a little bit of a gap between there. If that line's touching that other line, you should be okay. But I go ahead and I make that flush and even with this edge, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I trace the rounded edges. On both sides. And I make it nice and dark so I can see where I'm going. But I now have my backboard drawn on, and I have my base drawn on. We're going to cut right down between this gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make a line right in between those two lines. I'm going to take this square and I'm going to make sure it's flush against this edge, and I'm going to bring it right up to that little mark I made, and I'm going to draw a straight line through that roadway. So I've drawn a straight line through the road, because that's what we're going to go back and we're going to cut, is that straight line. These corners we don't cut round, we're going to sand those round. Now, there's a few other things I have to do when it comes to my patterns. The first one is, when I look at my basketball game, one side might look nicer than the other side. Right here I got this little dark spot. This is caused from where a tree branch was actually growing out when they planed this part. But there's a chip up here on this. So I'm going to end up making this the bottom of my base. This is the top. So this is the part I'm going to see that I want to make nice and pretty. This part doesn't matter as much. On this side, I'm going to take that marker, and so you can see, and if you want, you can take your thumb and go, okay, there's my backboard, everything from my thumb forward is my base. So I'm going to write my first and last name in marker or pen, you can use pen if you want to, on the bottom. So you're going to write your first and your last name on the bottom of the base. I didn't do it on the backboard, just the base. Now, the backboard has these two holes. These holes are where your rim is going to end up going. And then it also has this little cut. This cut is simply to help you as a measurement or acting as a ruler. So once again, I'm going to flush that up with the back edge. I'm going to take a nice sharp pencil and I'm going to circle in those two holes. Where that little cut is, I'm going to make a mark. So where the cut is, I just draw a straight line down. Okay, so I'm going to lift up and show you. So I got a little circle for one rim hole, a little circle for another rim hole. Then I have a straight little mark. To draw that straight across, I have two options. One is I can take the square and make sure it's flush against that edge. All right, it's a lot easier when you're sitting on the table. So I could just go like this, right? And I bring it right up to that edge. And I could draw that line straight across. Okay? The other option I have is I could go back and I could put it on the other side, make a little mark, right? But you'll notice using the square, that's flush, that comes right to my cut, so it lines up nice and even. Now, this isn't anything we're going to cut. This is where we're going to end up drilling, because we're going to drill a little tiny hole here, a little tiny hole here. This is going to be a big hole that's going to be the pole for your basketball game. Now to do this, we need to find the center. So, we're going to be using the ruler. The ruler is divided into 1/16 of an inch when you're on the inch side. That's the 1 through 12. The 1 through 30 is centimeters. We're not doing centimeters, we're doing inches. So there's 16 little lines between an inch and the next inch. So, our block of wood is 3/4 of an inch. So we need to go half of 3/4, which would be 3/8 of an inch. What that means is I'm going to put the ruler on the edge and I'm going to count over what would be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little lines. So I'm going to count over 6 little lines and I'm going to make a mark. Okay? Because I want to go 6/16 of an inch to find the center. And I'm just going to simply draw, making a little X in the center. So once again, I went to the edge and I counted over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little lines on the ruler to find the center. Now, you have your first and last name written on the bottom. You got your lines marked on the top, so you got my curve on the end, my curve here, I got my straight line going down the roadway. I got my curves here, my mark, and then I have my X in the center. One more thing I want you to add, and this one you're going to do in pencil. Right next to that little X, you're going to go over just a little bit and you're going to write your initials. So if I was doing first and last, that's FL, right? You're going to write your first initial, last initial. So right down by the X, write first initial, last initial. We're going to end up sanding this off. That's why we're writing it in pencil, not marker. Because we do want to sand this bottom part. But I don't want the partners arguing, that's my backboard, no, that's my backboard. We can tell by looking at the grain line who cut whose. So if you're in your bin and you think you grabbed the wrong one, just like a jigsaw puzzle, if you wrote your name, you can take those and line them up and tell whose is whose. So this is our first step, laying out the base. Once we've done this, we're going to go on to the second step, which is going to be the drilling video.